everyone, welcome to the show. My name is Amanda Ostrander. I am a teacher turned homeschool mom, and this is Raising A to Z, a place where we talk about all things homeschooling. Today, I'm going to go over what curriculum I've chosen for my 6th grader for next year. Like I said, we're in the middle of a curriculum rundown planning for next year series. I'm very excited. Last week we went over what I'm giving my 4th grader for next year. Today we're going to go over what I'm giving my 6th grader for next year. And the fact that I have a 6th grader is terrifying. Because I think about it honestly, some of the schools up here only go to grade 5 or 6. And then they switch over to high school programs or middle school. And so that just sounds crazy. Basically, I'm this is the last year that she would officially be considered elementary school level. Isn't that weird? I don't know if I'm ready for that. But Alexi is ready. Alexi is ready for more challenge. And I think that's where I'm going to be focusing this year. She is an avid reader. She devours books to the point where it's a struggle sometimes with her to keep her in books, which is the opposite problem I've had with Zoe. Zoe is a struggling reader. Alexi, definitely not. She's read, this is early May. She's read 30 novels this year. 30. 30 novels. Some of them are big. And she's just yeah, just a everyday thing. She's always got a book in her hand. She also can read in the car, which I don't understand how she's able to do that. She just gets in the car and just reads. And I'm just oh my goodness. So she loves to read. She loves to write. She's always writing, always figuring stuff out, writing scripts and stories and stuff. And then she's also really into movie making, which I think is the coolest thing ever for an almost 11-year-old. That's her favorite thing to do is make movies. So she is definitely a unique kid. She is definitely a strong student. And this year, my goal is really to push her because I think she does need a little bit of challenge. So let's get into what curriculum I'm going to use for her for next year. So this year, I was struggling with what to get her because, like I said, she's a very good reader and an avid reader, but she sometimes struggles with slowing herself down and understanding what she's reading. Not in the sense that she doesn't get it, but she misses some of the little nuances. Sometimes she'll miss a little bit of the symbolism or because she's just moving so quickly. So I've been working on slowing her down a little bit with some reading comprehension books. And so even though she's in grade 5, she's been doing grade 6 reading. She's almost done. So we got grade 7 reading because that's literally where she is. She needs something that is going to give her something to read and then ask her questions about it and make her think. And I will say that part of my struggle with her this year has been getting her to think a little bit more critically about what she's reading, because sometimes when she doesn't know the answer right away, she gets silly. Any parent of a middle schooler this age would agree, these preteen ages, that they get silly and they write ridiculous answers. And you're that's for example, she'd be why, there'd be a question about because the curriculum, because she's doing the same one, she's doing grade 7 though next year, is it's always a reading prompt and then some questions, nothing crazy. She can do it in 10-15 minutes, but it's just something to make her think, right? And she's read somewhere it's I'm trying to think of one was about a guy who lived at the base of a volcano, and one of the questions was would you live at the base of a volcano? And her answer was no, that's stupid. And we're okay, but give me more. Give me more. Or there was another one that was something about it was a government program that they were talking about that was helping protect nature reserves or something like that. And she was they're why do you think the government stepped in this situation even though people weren't happy about it? And her answer was the government is stupid. And I was well, no, that's not. Yes, sometimes they make dumb decisions and we can talk about that, but that is not the answer here. So that's what I've been working. That's been our struggle, is getting her to be a little bit more critical. And so I've been kind of cracking down, and these have actually been helping a lot because it's been making her slow down and read them more. The other thing I got her was grade 7 language arts with the spectrum as well, because she hasn't been doing this because I haven't found one for her. Because Chalkboard Publishing wasn't making any, which is what we were using. So she is getting a grade 7 as well. Again, sentence grammars, punctuations, structure. That's what I need her to work on, is like getting those foundations. On top of that, we're doing Brave Writer. We love Brave Writer. And this year I'm very excited because we've traditionally, in the past, not traditionally, but like in the past, we've always done DART level books. And this year I've actually pulled a couple that are Arrow level. So it's the like next level up, because I need to challenge her. I need her to be like engaged and excited about the books too. And she's loved, like, don't get me wrong, she's loved every Brave Writer book we've read so far. Absolutely loved it. But I do feel like sometimes she needs a little bit more, and she can handle a little bit more. And so when I pick Brave Writer books, often I'll go to Amazon. This is like a little side tip. And I'll look up like what the age recommendations are for them, because DART is age ranges. Sometimes the books are like, they'll be geared, like DART is supposed to be ages like 7 to 10. And sometimes if you look up the book on Amazon, it'll be like a recommended like age 6 to 8 or 9 to 12 or an 8 to 10. And so like you can see kind of like what age range the book falls in. And so this year I've been very, very conscious of picking books that are on like the upper side of numbers if I'm pulling from DART. And then vice versa, going into Arrow and pulling books that are a little bit on the lower side, if that makes sense. So the ones that are like the 9 to 12s rather than the like 12 plus books. It just kind of gives us a little bit more. I just know that they're a little bit more on their level. So we're going to be doing that. To find out all about those, you'll have to wait to our topics video next week, because that's going to be really great. And I'll also discuss the other thing we're doing, because we're going to be doing a lot more writing this year. I have kind of put off writing. We've done some writing units, but nothing like a regular writing program, like extensively, because I've been really working with Zoe to get her reading. Now that she's much more comfortable with reading, I feel like we can do a little bit more writing. So this year we will be doing a monthly writing assignment, and I'm excited for that. I'm very excited to get that on the docket for my kids, and I think Alexia will really, really, really like it. So that's our language plan: spectrum, reading and language arts, Brave Writer for novel studies and literature, and then some writing assignments for writing. Cool. Awesome. Math lessons for a living education. We're going to stick with this grade 6 because I already bought it. I already have it. But this is also on my list of things for next year to really, really work on, because this is the last book in the series. And so I'm going to have to find something new for her. And I don't want to necessarily have to switch programs, because I find a lot of math programs go up to like grade 6, grade 8, or they go all the way to high school. And I don't want to pick a book, like a program for 2 years and then have to pick something new. So I'm going to be definitely looking for something that extends into high school, so that, you know, we have consistency, because I do think that makes a really big difference with math programs, is finding one that works and sticking with it long term. It does help you avoid a lot of holes. So again, we're sticking with this for now, and my goal, maybe in the fall even of next year, is to really hunker down and take a look at what options are out there for math moving forward and what's going to work for us. But for now, she loves it. We have it. That's what we're doing. That's math. Science, history, social studies, all of that. We are a unit study family. So all of those will be done by unit study. I like to try to rotate between doing like a science unit and then like a social studies or history unit. I just find it kind of gives us a little bit more balance. Although like I do try to plan things that make sense seasonally. So sometimes we end up with 2 back-to-back or whatever. But that's just what has been working for us. And I always tell people this because it surprises them. I only do one at a time. Like I do language, I do math, and then I pick one unit study and we just do that. So we'll do just science for 4 or 5 weeks, and then we'll do just history for 4 or 5 weeks. And then we'll just do another science topic for 4 or 5 weeks. And I just find it's easier for us as, as parents. It's easier for me to like pull resources and really focus on that topic when I'm just focusing on one topic rather than 3 or 4 different extra subjects. And then I can just like make it a little more immersive. Like it's easier to find, build out a unit that way. So I can like, okay, we're doing this topic for science. And then I can find like, okay, here's some documentaries that kind of go with it. Here's a novel study that goes with it. Here's some science experiments that can go with it. And I just find it helps me like beef it up, if that makes sense. And it's just easier that way. And also my kids, just because they have more time to like sit in one topic, because that's all we're doing, I find they do tend to take things a lot deeper. So that's just what works for us. I know some places and some might not allow you to do that. Some places that might not work for your family, but that's just like our approach to science, history, social studies, all that is to kind of do unit studies, and it's really, really working for us. For French, we're getting to the point where I'm trying to figure out what to do with French. I think for French this year, we're going to switch it up a little bit. For the past, Alexi has been doing Duolingo, and she's very good at Duolingo. She enjoys Duolingo. Alexi is currently on a 1,000 and something day streak, meaning she's done Duolingo every single day for well over 1,000 days, which is like more than 3 years, like 3 years. And she's getting very good at it. And her French has really, really improved, which is great. Now it's to kind of get her into like the next level. And to do that, I really think that she needs to focus on reading. And so my goal for her this year is to actually take her and find some French novels to take her love of reading, but also make it French, and have her focus on that with my husband a little bit more, because we have tried it in the past, trying to get her like reading articles or reading like smaller pieces, and that's great. But then like she reads so much that she's like plows through it. So we need to kind of get her something that's maybe a little bit more deep, to slow her down a little bit so that she is getting a lot of those other things. So that is the plan for her. Yes, keep the Duolingo, but also add a French novel and have her read that on a more regular basis. And then music and art. Alexi loves music. Loves music. Loves it so much. She plays music all the time. She loves the piano. So she is really like playing on the piano all the time. She loves to sing. And recently my mother-in-law taught her how to do chords and how to read chords. And so now this kid, love her, but she like will take her iPad out and she'll like look up a song and put it up, and then she'll like start playing along and like play and sing. So the other day she had a friend over, and her friend was like, Amanda, you need to come downstairs and see what Alexi's doing. It's mind blowing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's she doing? And we come downstairs and Alexi's got the iPad and she's playing a Taylor Swift song. She was playing Elizabeth Taylor and like playing and singing it. And this poor girl was just like just mind blown. This was the craziest thing this little girl's ever seen. So continuing her with her lessons with her dad. She does like them. She does advance, letting her play what she wants to play. Helping her find some stuff. She's been getting some more singing lessons with my husband again, because he has a music degree and has taught music. But yeah, she's really into music. So like, I just kind of let her keep moving because she's so good at it. And then in terms of Zoe and her both doing the same thing, we are adding in music appreciation, which I got from The Good and the Beautiful. I'm really, really excited about this because it's kind of like it does have some music history. It does talk about like different styles and approaches to some classical music, just some different pieces. So I think that would just be an interesting thing for her to kind of grasp and like see music as a bigger piece of the puzzle. So there's about 20 lessons in this music appreciation. So I'm going to be alternating 1 week doing music appreciation, and then 1 week doing the Canadian art artist unit from True North History. This I'm excited about because I wrote it. Not gonna lie. But I'm just excited because I think they're really, really going to like it. Because like I said, because it's made to be very easy. It's basically portfolio building. So like you get a sketchbook, which Dollarama has beautiful sketchbooks. Nice hardcover, cool covers, spiral bound, like really nice sketchbooks for like $4. And then every week you just do a new assignment, and by the end you have a nice little book of art. So that's basically what this unit is designed to do, is just make it really easy, using really easy art supplies and studying Canadian art. So every week we have a Canadian artist, a famous Canadian artist, their life history and bio. We have how their like artistic approach, how they approach art, what makes them special and like important to the Canadian art scene. And then there's some art appreciation where we look up a specific piece and there's things to notice, things to look at, things to question and wonder. Guide you right through it, nice and easy for the parent. And then there is a art assignment that you can do here based off of their art. And the nice thing that I've added to this is that this is like the basic art assignment. You can do this with younger kids. But then there is like an older kids add-on, which is most of the time, almost always the same assignment with like a few little twists or a few things to like think about or to focus on. So for like this art piece from Emily Carr, they're working on moving your brush to create curves, give movement. So they're talking about they have to sketch a forest. And then when they're happy with the sketch, they're going to use paint to add colors and use their movement and their brush and curves to paint it in. Okay. But then the older kids, they're saying we're focusing not only on movement, but we're also focusing on foregrounds, backgrounds, and middle grounds. And there's some like notes about what we want to do in those sections. So yeah, nice add-on for the older kids. So there's something for Zoe to do in the younger section, but then I can also like push Alexi to do something more difficult or more challenging for her. So that's the plan. This year with Alexi is to definitely challenge her and give her things that are maybe a little bit more work for her, because she does like fly through stuff. She loves to read, she loves to write, and she just zips through stuff. And I want to get her really to do things maybe a little bit more deeply this year. So yeah, that's my plan for grade 6. Make sure you hit the bell and subscribe, because you're going to want to know when I do my video next week all about what topics and unit studies and writing assignments we're going to do. That's going to be very, very exciting. I'm super excited about that. And then the following week, we're going to do a whole planning video. So that's cool too. Consider becoming a member, because you get bonus content and early releases and cool things like that. And then finally, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where we cover all kinds of stuff and just show you what we're doing on a regular basis. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week when we talk about what topics we're doing.